I'm Carolyn from Just So Happy. Thanks for joining us for 12 Days of Christmas. Today's project is a custom fit tablet, Kindle, laptop, anything like that sleeve with a zipper. And check out these cork accents, y'all. I love them so much. So let's get started. Let's talk about how to make your own pattern. Whatever tablet you want, or really even laptop, you want to make the sleeve for, you're going to measure that amount and then add 1.5 to 2 inches. I went ahead and added 2 inches because this is a little bit thicker. If you had a really slim tablet, then you could probably get away with 1.5, but I recommend 2. So really just measure that out, and then you're going to cut your pieces to 2 inches wider and taller than that tablet amount. That'll help accommodate for that little bit of bulk from whatever the depth is, as well as seam allowance and all of that. Hey y'all, so after having made this and used it for a little bit, I had an idea and I wanted to pass on this tip. If you want just a little bit of extra space, both with the zipper to get your device in, but also to have enough space to fit the charger for that device right beside it, add an extra inch or 1.5 inches to the width. Just a pro tip, but believe me, you'll be glad you did. So you'll need 2 pieces of fusible fleece in that measurement, 2 lining pieces, 2 outer pieces in that same measurement. So all 6 of those pieces are all the same, as well as a zipper. I'm going to add a cork accent to mine, so I used the same length, and I'm just going to use a 2-inch accent piece. I'm also going to add a small cork tab. So this is about 1 inch wide by about 2 inches. I'm also going to use cork for my zipper pull. Totally optional, but I think it'll be fun. So I've just got a tiny little sliver cut to the size that I like, and I'll probably trim that down once it's actually on there. As well as some pieces for the zipper finishing. These are about 1.5 inches by 2.5 inches wide. The other thing that you'll probably want to have on hand, just to make, if you decide to add cork to yours, just to make that process a little bit easier, would be a Teflon foot. It'll just glide along a little bit more smoothly, make that process just that much easier. So before we can get to the fun part, which is of course the sewing, we have to do a little bit of prep work, and then we can head over to the machine. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take your fusible fleece and you're going to fuse it to your outer pieces. Feeling, of course, for that glue side, the bumpy side is what you're going to attach. You'll make sure it's nice and smooth, and then fuse that according to the package directions. Once you've got those fused, the other thing that you want to do is prep your zipper to be the correct length. You want to trim your zipper in between where those metal pieces are, in between those, but you want it to end up 1 inch shorter than whatever your length piece is. So in my case, my Kindle, these pieces ended up being 7.5 by 10.5. So my 10.5 side, I want my zipper to end up at 9.5. So I'm just going to cut inside right here. And then on the other side, you want to make sure that your zipper pull is, of course, not going to come off on the piece that you cut off. Just 1 inch shorter. Let me line this up. Just 1 inch shorter than that end. Okay, so let's get the cork attached to those outer pieces. All I'm going to do, since you can leave the raw edge on this, I'm actually just going to lay this over the bottom edge of each of my outer pieces and then stitch along the top edge to hold it down. I've got my Teflon foot on here to make that a little bit easier. And then repeat with the other piece. Okay. The next step, I'm going to go ahead and get my zipper ready. Those 2 zipper tab pieces, I'm just going to fold into the center. Give it a good finger press. And then I'm going to attach those to each end of my zipper. I'm placing the zipper all the way into that center line. Now it's hard to see with the black on black there, but all the way into the center line, and then fold it over so that those outer pieces match. If you want to use a clip to hold things in place there, that's fine, but if you're close enough to your needle anyway. There's not too much time for it to slip around. And then you're going to sew across and back just a couple times to keep that secure. And then rather than back stitching, I find that I get a neater finish if I actually just start back at the beginning. But I do like to go over that same line again just to have a little bit of extra security. When you get to those teeth, just slow down. It'll go right through them. And then you'll prep the other piece for the other side. It's a little trickier to wrangle those two pieces together, but not by much. Again, just a good finger press with those edges into the center, so that I end up with a piece that's about a 1/2 inch by 1.5 inches. Because we're going to trim this to be equal to the sides of our zipper. Gives us just a little bit of extra wiggle room. You do want those teeth to be side by side. Try to not get those gapped apart. And then with some scissors, give yourself a nice straight line on either side. To get your cork accents in place, if you choose to add them, your little sliver of cork can just go through your zipper pull. And you just pull it through about halfway. And then I'm just going to top stitch directly in the middle to hold those two layers together. You could also tie it. A little piece of ribbon there, that would be fine. And then the other thing I'm going to do, also just a quick little top stitch, is take one of my outer pieces and put my zipper, my little tab on the outer edge. So I just took that piece that is about 1 inch by 2 inches and folded it in half. And then I'm just going to put that along the side wherever I think that that might look cute. I think just about there is going to be perfect. And I'm just going to clip it and then just top stitch, based really, just to keep it in place so that I don't have to think about it as I continue the project. It really just needs like just a couple stitches and it'd be fine. Okay, and then just, I want mine to be at an angle, so I'm just going to cut through just like that, trim my threads. Okay, just to hold that in place. All right. We're going to attach the outer piece and a lining piece at the same time on one side of the zipper. So if you'll lay your zipper right sides together with your outer piece, and what you want to do is center it where the edges are the same distance away from each edge. Then you'll lay your lining right on top of that. And I like to clip that in place. Using a zipper foot, just 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down. When this zipper pull begins to get in your way, just pull it to the other side, sew a little bit closer to it, and then pull it behind where you are with your presser foot up. Okay, so I've got my zipper foot and I'm going to be using the side that my zipper is on. So since my zipper is on toward the left, then my needle's going to be going through this gap here on the left as well. My zipper pull right now is really toward the front, so I'm actually going to just unzip my zipper just a little bit until I get started And then I'm just going to be using that zipper foot as my guide as I continue down. You just want to make sure you're catching all of those layers because you're going through your lining, your zipper, the outer fabric, and then also that fusible fleece. So I've gotten a little bit closer to my zipper head here. I'm going to raise my presser foot and I'm going to wiggle this zipper shut all the way back. So now it's all the way back here and it's out of my way so I can just zoom down the rest. Lower my presser foot again and continue on. Just each of those layers in turn. Before we repeat that on the other side, when we open it up, what I want to do is top stitch. So I'm going to draw this lining fabric down so that I have a nice edge right there. And you can press at this step if you like. I tend to like to just pull a bit, and you do this with your zipper foot, or you can switch back if you prefer. The same as before, I don't want to be anywhere near that zipper head, so I'm just going to pull that down. And I'm stitching about 1/8 of an inch away from the top line. This would be another fun place to use a decorative or contrasting thread, a decorative stitch or a contrasting thread. And then again, once I get close to that, I'm going to raise my foot, wiggle that zipper head back behind where I'm not touching it, and then continue. As I sew along, I'm pulling both of these layers so that there's not any bunching or wrinkling, but I'm just giving that a nice, neat top stitch that will keep that edge at the top very nice and precise. And all the way off the edge. So now we're going to do the same thing, but of course we've got a little bit of extra pieces that we're dealing with as well now. So we're going to take, again, right sides together with the zipper and our outer piece. I'm going to flip that over so you can see. And I know it's hard to tell with this black, but I'm still centering the zipper ends with the edge of the fabric. So there's the same amount of space here on the end as there is on the other side. I'm going to pull that zipper toward the middle for when I get started. The edge of my zipper is on the edge of my outer piece, and then my lining piece goes on top. I'm going to clip everything all together and then do the same thing where I'm using that same seam allowance all the way down with my zipper foot, just like before. And then the same thing as before, we're going to open this up and top stitch. Got to kind of find the middle. I'm going to pull those layers so that I know I've got this nice precise edge. Give it a quick finger press and then stitch about 1/8 of an inch from the zipper. Okay, so we're almost done. You can see that I've got the top stitch edge on each side of the zipper. We've got our tab basted in place. What we're going to do now is actually do the side and bottom seams. And we want to make sure that we're catching all of the layers, especially if you, like me, have this cork on top of your outer layer. So we're going to bring that and actually open it up to where your outer pieces are on one side and your lining pieces are on the other side. So I'm going to peel back my lining, and my lining is toward the left right now, and my outer pieces are both toward the right now. Then I'm going to clip all the way around so that these pieces are matched. We of course want the bottom corners, those side seams where the cork matches. That's an identifiable point that we can go ahead and clip to make sure that that's in the place it needs to be. With the zipper, we're actually going to be using a seam allowance so that we don't catch this part, this end zipper tab in our side stitch, we're actually going to be just missing that. Make sure my cork edges match just so I get a nice side look on the side. I'm going to open my zipper. Okay. And since we'll need to leave a gap as we sew along, I'm going to double clip just to remind myself that I need to make sure that I don't sew everything shut. Ask me how I know that I'm going to forget that if I don't double clip. Okay, and then all the way around, again, leaving a gap so that we can pull everything right sides out. Okay. I'm going to start off with just a little bit of a back stitch as well, so that when I'm turning, I've got a little bit of some reinforcement. Because with all these layers, I know that's going to be a rough process. Need to stop. All right. I'm actually going to double that. All right, and then the fun part, turn it right side out. And because we missed those zipper tabs, we're going to get a nice tight corner on the edges of the zipper. Just going to very gently work with that cork to get a nice corner. You know what I didn't do? I didn't trim my bulk out of my corners. I'm gonna do that. Just pull those right back out. I'm cutting close to my threads, but not through my threads, because that's quite a bit of bulk. It's gonna restrict my corner otherwise. All right. Your last step, and I'm actually using this gap in the lining to continue reaching through and dealing with that bulk to get a nice corner on the sides as well. But you can either hand stitch that opening in the lining closed, or I'm just going to machine stitch it real quick. And then we'll be all set. And this is really a nice look for even a zipper pouch. It doesn't have to be a tablet pouch, but could make a cute little gift just for other supplies as well. There we go. And then you're all done. You've got a custom fit tablet or Kindle or laptop or anything else zipper pouch.